I.Nistor was a prominent Romanian historian and politician. He was a member of the Romanian Academy after 1911 and served as administrator of its library. Biography. Nistor was born into a family of peasants in the Bivlari hamlet of Vicovulda Sus, Bucovina, in Austria-Hungary at the time. It is now included in Suceava County, Romania. He studied at the local school in Vicovulda Sus, then at elementary school of Radorti and at the Radorti German High School, getting his matura in 1897. He then studied philosophy and literature at the University of Czernowitz, and between 1898 and 1900, he completed his military service in the Austro-Hungarian army and graduated from the university in 1902, after which he was named teacher of history and geography at the Suceava Classic High School. Together with some of his friends, Nistor edited a magazine titled Junimea Litera between 1904 and 1914, first published in Radorti and then in Suceava. In 1904, Nistor married Virginia Pauliuk, daughter of the Gheorghe Pauliuk, and 1 year later, on July 5, 1905, Oldia, his only child, was born. He then moved to teach at the Orthodox High School, making use of the institution's library, better suited to his studies into the history of Moldavia. In 1908, 1909 and 1910, 1911, he studied at the University of Vienna and completed his PhD under Constantine Joseph Juracek, with a thesis on Moldavia's aspirations regarding Percutia. After that, he furthered his studies at the universities of Munich, Leipzig and Berlin, receiving his docent title and the Venia Legendi, which allowed him to teach at the University of Vienna, where he gave lectures on the history of the Romanians. A year later, in 1912, he moved to Czernowitz to hold the chair of Southeastern European history, but after the start of World War I, he moved to the Romanian Old Kingdom, where he published various studies on the history of Bucovina. He was elected a member of the Romanian Academy in 1915. He also authored an ethnographic map of Bucovina under Austrian domination, based on the census of 1910. Living in ISI by the time Romania entered the war on the Entente side, Nistor left Romania at the climax of the Romanian campaign. In July 1917, he moved to Odessa, in territory held by the Russian Provisional Government, and began teaching Romanian history to the students at the University of Novorossiya. He interrupted the course in November 1917, after a group of armed Russian revolutionaries broke into the university building. Nistor was, however, safely escorted outside by some of the Bessarabian soldiers who were part of his audience. In February 1918, together with other Austro-Hungarian refugees, Nistor departed for Ovidiopol, Setialba and then finally reached Chisinau. He stayed in the city, where he argued for the founding of a Moldavian university, and soon began lecturing on the history of the Romanians. He used the data gathered from the Chisinau archives to write The History of Bessarabia, published in 1923. Nistor also witnessed the Sfacel Arii session which voted the union with Romania. After the war ended, he returned to his native Bucovina and he was one of the members of the National Assembly of Bucovina in Cernorti, which voted for the union with Romania on November 28, 1918. Nistor was also one of the 15 Bucovinans who presented the Union Act to Romania's King Ferdinand I. Nistor presided upon the Democratic Union Party, which had a centralist agenda. Between December 18 and May 2, he was a member of Greater Romania's Reșinu government as a minister for Bucovina, and between February 14 and February 27 also held the rank of Minister for Bessarabia, while the nominal minister was delegated to the Paris Peace Conference. Between May 1920 and January 1922, I.Nistor was a senator in the Parliament of Romania. In the interwar period, I.Nistor wrote many historical works, including The Origin of Romanians and the Vlachs of Thessalia and Epirus and the History of Romanians in Transnistria. He was also the director of the historical magazine Codri Cosmonului, which was published between 1924 and 1939. Elected rector of the University of Sănătate in 1920, serving as such until 1921, and again from 1933 to 1940. Also in 1920, he joined the National Liberal Party, and was again the Minister of State for Bucovina in the 4th Brătianu Cabinet, Minister of Public Works in the 5th Brătianu Cabinet, and Minister of Labour in the 1st Gheorghe Tătărescu Cabinet. In 1938, he broke with the PNL and sided with the National Renaissance Front regime established by King Carol II, and was Minister of the Cults and Arts in the 2nd Tătărescu Cabinet. Starting October 1940, under the National Legionary State, I.Nistor taught at the University of Bucharest, becoming the target of Iron Guard persecutions for the support he had given to King Carol. Following the Guards' defeat during the Legionnaires' Rebellion of 1941, he sent a congratulatory telegram to Conductor Ion Antonescu. He was pensioned in the same year, and, starting 1943, he was in charge of Library of the Romanian Academy. I.Nistor kept the latter office until after the establishment of a communist regime, when the purge of anti-communists in the academy began. His house was nationalized, and I.Nistor had to live in the attic of his daughter's house. On the night of May 5–6, 1950, I.Nistor was arrested for political reasons by the Securitate, being incarcerated in Siea prison. Originally sentenced to 24 months in prison, his sentence was subsequently raised to 60 months. He was freed 5 years and 2 months later. After that, he continued writing, completing his works, History of Bucovina and the History of Romanians.